This round is being fired into an impact area where cardboard boxes simulate targets.
The Cold War. Although it wasn't the most traditional war in recent history, or had any major, violent, or physical conflicts, it did force both the US and the Soviet Union to terrify each other through nuclear weapons and the threat of their use possessed by both nations. The battles fought in the Cold War were for the support of one's country, having fought by exploring space, encountering new capabilities of existing technology, and stealthily exchanging that new information. In order to gain support for one nation's cause and denounce the others, both sides employed strategies involving propaganda, espionage, rivaling in sports events, and a fierce competition for technological superiority, also known as the space race. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet satellite Sputnik 1 was launched, and became the first artificial satellite to be launched, thus placing the Soviet Union ahead of the US in the space race. The reaction to the Soviet spacecraft was generally mixed around the globe. People watched the evening skies in awe or horror in order to catch a glimpse of it. Radio stations listened out for the characteristic beeps of the satellite. However, the US government was displeased at the surprise of the sudden loss of technological dominance. Just 4 months after Sputnik's launch, the Advanced Research Project Agency, or ARPA, was created in order to try and regain and maintain the top spot in technology. Over 4 name changes later, it is now called DARPA, a name known for pushing what technology means in the modern-day world, and an agency that is our frontrunner in building the future. The original goal of ARPA was to conduct research and experiments to expand the capabilities of technology by making inventions more sophisticated than the enemy's, in order to stop another situation like the one that spurred the creation of ARPA. The first director of ARPA was Roy Johnson, who left a management job at General Electric for the new agency. A man named Herbert York had also left his job to become Johnson's scientific assistant. The first major event after ARPA's creation happened during a phase where it funded and managed rocket development programs. An early program was Wernher von Braun's engineering team, which would eventually become a new civilian space program, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Shortly after, NASA would develop the Saturn V moon rocket, an upper stage rocket known as Centaur, whose technology was used on Apollo manned missions. The first project initiated by ARPA, the TIROS program, was transferred to NASA in 1959. It forged the world's first weather satellite that was put into orbit in 1960.
A red observation satellite is more than just a dream. This experimental weather satellite means that man's vision is no longer...
It became the prototype for the current global systems used for weather reporting, forecasting, and research of the DoD, NASA, and NOAA. One of the most well-known satellite programs, the now declassified Corona Photo Reconnaissance Program, was funded by ARPA along with the CIA. The Corona program delivered its first canister of film back to Earth in August of 1960, which contained valuable information via a plethora of photos taken over Soviet-controlled territory.
The Corona program pioneered the whole area of not only satellite reconnaissance, really, but the useful application of space.
The program went on to deliver additional treasured information for 12 more years until its mission ended in 1972. ARPA had a satellite system of their very own as they launched the Transit satellite in 1960, which provided all-weather navigation to both military and commercial vessels, most notably and importantly, the Navy's Ballistic Missile Submarine Force. The satellite's concept and technology were developed by Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, The satellite was essentially the predecessor to the GPS, as it was the first widely accepted satellite navigation system. Its surveying capability, which allowed accuracy in the tens of meters range, greatly increased the quality of maps of the Earth's land areas.
Navigation by satellite. How and why does it work? First, a little astrophysics to answer why.
By 1938, 36 transit satellites were operational, and the program lasted 28 years until it was replaced by the GPS. ARPA decided to experiment with large-scale personal computing under the name Project Mac at MIT. The broad-based command and control research suggested by the Office of the Secretary of Defense geared Mac to uncover a new level of human-to-computer interaction. Within years of its start, Project Mac would evolve into the world's first online community, which included email, virtual friendships, and much more. While we are on the subject of well-known computer subjects, in 1969, the creatively named ARPANET was made. ARPANET was a pioneering network for sharing digital resources among geographically separated computers. Its initial demonstration in 1969 eventually led to the Internet, which has practically become a necessity in today's time. A notable point for ARPA was in 1972, when ARPA had its name changed to DARPA when it became the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, thus gaining a D, only to lose it in 1993 and regain it in 1996. In the early 1970s, a DARPA study brought to light the extent of vulnerabilities that U.S. aircraft and their onboard equipment had to detection and attack by adversaries, who were deploying new air defense missile systems, such as radar-guided surface-to-air missiles and air-launched radar-guided missiles. These moved DARPA to develop strategies and technologies to make detection by radar more difficult. DARPA put all of their newfound techniques, enhanced heat dissipation and reduced visual signatures, for example, into HAV Blue, the first practical stealth aircraft, and this led to the procurement by the Air Force of the F-117A Nighthawk stealth fighter, which became operational in October 1983. A follow-up to HAV Blue, Tacit Blue, would come equipped with its own radar while staying under the enemy's, which laid out the basis for the B-2 Spirit bomber. And 39 years later, now we're here. DARPA still retains its original objective, but now it is in a private matter. DARPA owns an official Twitter account, Facebook, YouTube channel, and website, not to mention thousands of people talking about what DARPA has done, what it's going to do, and what we want it to do. The reason for this is because DARPA isn't just taking the next step toward fulfilling next guy's sci-fi fantasy. It's because people have a lot of hope in DARPA to keep America safe by deterring potential enemies with the ability to use weapons and tools they've never even seen if another war erupts. Thus, expectations can grow incredibly large, and you can see this by running an image search on Google for DARPA. But all in all, DARPA is only one settler of the future, but it's going to be the first one there, and it's going to make it safe for the rest of us.
hamba muyang landa panguradan tonjukanlah kesaktian.